Well, welcome to My Toy Life. This is the 20th episode. Can you believe it? We've been going for 20 episodes. I can't believe it, but they go so fast, you know? And I checked a little while ago, and last week's episode is the most watched so far. That may have been because everybody got hooked on Angelo's talking. You know, he just went on and on. No, really. It's a great show if you have a chance to watch it. The 19th episode with Angelo, the flocking king. You'll have to excuse me. I have had a little bit of a cough and a cold, but the show must go on. And here is my sidekick, Rick.
Hello.
Hello, Rick.
I won't ask how you're doing because it's obvious. So
Yeah.
you'll get over it.
Well, you know, the human body is an amazing thing. What we can deal with and what we can fight off it's amazing. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Because these are little bugs that, float around and whatever.
Yeah.
So what's been happening with you, Rick?
Oh, I got a couple things to show. I just put together a couple figures this afternoon, and I posted the pictures on Facebook, but I have them here and I'll show you.
All right, we're gonna put you on the boom screen here.
Okay. So I had Angelo do a couple more of the 3D printed heads from Etsy that the guy is selling.
Awesome.
So I had him. So now this will I'll have 4 Adventure Team guys. Thanks to Angelo. So of course this is the Sea Adventurer.
Adventure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what I did was I stripped off a lot of his equipment. I don't like the drop down rigs on the legs.
Right.
I want it to look more old school. So I stripped off the belt. I stripped off some of the equipment and I repositioned his holster. And he's just a basic sailor. I mean, that's what Joe was, And Angelo, you're not going to be able to see this, but Angelo is getting really good at painting the eyes on these things. I mean, he puts details in there that are really amazing. And this guy, this is my Land Adventurer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. I like the colors on that.
Yeah. Yeah, the orange shirt kind of works. I wish they didn't have the tiger on it, but so this is the Outback figure. And the belt and these boots are from the Flint.
Okay.
All right. And what I'm a stickler about, if you've got a brown belt, then you got to have brown boots.
Oh, yeah.
Color coordination,
Okay.
So, and I altered where his holster was and where his knife was. So he's ready for adventure.
Yeah. What do you have the Canadian Mountie 12-inch?
I have the Dragon Canadian Mountie.
Okay.
I don't have the G.I. Joe one. I do have the G.I. Joe, the dog, the boxer that came with them. I do have an original boxer.
What does he have? Does he have the brown Bess?
The dog?
No, the Mountie.
He has his the Sam Brown.
Yeah. Sam Brown, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the Sam Brown rig.
So then you have a brown rig and you have brown boots. I got you on that one, didn't I, Rick?
He might have black boots, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're cops. They gotta have black boots.
I know.
So this is what
the reason I'm asking you, and because of what you said, I posted my Mountie from time to time, and somebody invariably always comes on and says, those guys have brown boots. Why has he got black boots on there?
Well, Hasbro doesn't pay attention.
No, Hasbro don't pay attention.
So this is a creation of Todd Zingales that I got several years ago.
Okay, you got Todd's here. Okay, here comes Todd's. Woo! Oh man!
And this is I'm a sucker for jetpacks, so
Oh man!
I had to buy this from him.
Well, that tells you, Todd, you need to make another jetpack so you can sell it to Rick.
Probably. And this is the flocking is done by Todd. And this is a world peacekeeper figure. So kind of neat.
Wow.
He did a nice job painting it. And I'll show you one more thing.
All right. Here we go.
Now this is one of Todd's crazy creations, like really out there. All right. And I don't know where he got this body from. It moves around.
I heard that Todd was out there. It's really awesome.
He's even got a dinosaur tail.
You know, this is the one I have. Let me pull it back here so we can all see it.
Is that one of his? Yep. Yeah, he did one of those for me. I think he did.
Yeah, boy.
Those were great when he got that idea.
Somehow I lost the middle piece here, so I'm going to maybe have Todd make me a new middle piece here. But yeah, he's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, I think I have two.
Is that, somebody says, Ronald McDonald, you're so funny. He said, is that supposed to be Satan? I doubt it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead, Rick. No,
I bought that figure from him, the big skeleton figure, because I have a Samson G.I. Joe or Sinbad G.I. Joe. And I thought that would go good with Sinbad.
Yeah, he does. Well, without further ado, here is Todd Zingales. Did I say that right? Did I say that right, Todd?
You got it. Yeah, you got it right.
Well, what got you into collecting, Todd, or creating?
Well, I guess I started when I found my first G.I. Joe way back when. I needed the parts to go with it. So I started hunting for all the parts, and that's kind of how my wife was telling me. She goes, you know, you got to stop spending all the house money. So she goes, like, what are you going to do with all this stuff? And I said, well, I'll build dioramas and I'll just start selling them. And she was like, okay. And so I started building stuff, and I'd go to Goodwill, find all these parts, and I started selling them. And that's stuff I sold that had helped me collect the parts that I needed. And then when Rick bought mine, we actually met. I didn't realize how close he lived to me. And then we became really close friends. I remember meeting him at a coffee shop, and we talked for a long time. And that jetpack brings me back. I don't even remember. That was one of my very first ones I made. The demon one, I don't know even where I found that body. That thing is tall. That's like 14 or 15 inches tall. Yeah. And I just like the building part of it. So I started with going to Goodwill and just finding the stuff and piecing it together. And then I kind of got into the flocking. I'm not Angelo with the flocking. I I like to do my own figures with that. But, you know, one thing led to another, and then years kept going, and I got a lot more covered. But now the collection has got to the point where I kind of stopped collecting because I've got pretty much all the stuff I want, other than a couple coveted items. But that's kind of how it all began.
So having one of the Underground Legion makes a person pretty special right now, since you're not making any more, huh?
You know what I've gotten into is it's kind of weird. I'm getting into the Super Joe collection. The guys at White Elephant Toys are making these Super Joes. And I've been working on a lot of these. The bodies are excellent. They're easy to work with. And so I've been building a lot of stuff with that. I've got quite a few of them. I'll show you a few of them tonight. Okay. And they're actually pretty neat. And they're a little smaller. And I did get into a while. I was getting into the Star Wars, like the Black series, because Rick and we were working a lot on, you know, like dry brushing and using a lot of washes and stuff like that. And those, like the ones Rick showed with those ones that Rick showed at the beginning, those are great when you use washes on them. Like it really brings out the details of the faces and stuff like that. So been trying to use a lot more of that. And I found paint online that it actually, I'll show you one tonight. It simulates rust and it looks like everything's weathered. And so I still do a little dabbling with that. And I'm getting to the point now where I'm going to start selling off a lot of this stuff. And the one that you showed, Terry, that was called a Ring King. And that was a wrestling figure.
Yeah.
And actually, Rick and I found the original one of my original ones at Goodwill. We'd go hunting for stuff, and I found one in the bin. And that was one of the originals that I found.
Well, good old Goodwill.
Yeah,
Goodwill
absolutely.
is interesting. If you've never been there in New Hampshire, we have Goodwill buy it by the pound. And you go into this store, and it's a fascinating store. They wheel out these bins, and you have to rummage through it. And Rick and I would come up with a game plan. If we saw something, we'd have to muscle people out of the way. And people are really pushy in there, and they wouldn't even be looking for the stuff we're looking for. They would just like jump right in there. But every once in a while, we'd find a figure that we'd want, and we'd have to go in and stand by it. And I actually found a Mike Powers, and it was in mint condition, and it cost me 25 cents. And
oh my,
a lot of good stuff in there. We found some pretty good stuff. It got later on, it got a little dicey in there. It was getting a little rude after a while, and we were like, I don't know, we'd have to wear gloves and everything. It was like, it's like the stuff Goodwill doesn't want to sell, they throw it in those bins. But it makes great parts, though.
You'd even find somebody's lunch in there.
Chicken. When we found KFC in the biscuit, that's when we decided we maybe might move on. And then someone had one time we went and someone had a pepper spray, and they sprayed it in the store. That was awful. Yep. But we kept going. It got bad when Rick was finding me ladies' purses because he thought I could use the leather. So I would have to, oh yeah, that leather is good for the straps and everything. But walking out of there, it was pretty funny. I got to throw it over my shoulder. So, but we had some fun times doing it. We found a lot at the flea markets. The rule was, whoever spots it first gets to go for it. If you spot it, you go for it. But then most of the time we would split it. We'd find something we like, and then we would just split it.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun. I try to go to the Goodwill here at least twice a week. I don't always get there twice, but I try. But our Goodwill, it's small pickings. I think a lot of the resellers and the collectors, they've all figured it out now. So they hit all the Goodwills first thing in the morning when the place opens. And so if you're not there right when it opens, couple hours later, it's all going to be gone.
Yeah. Well, even the people that work at Goodwill take stuff. Yes. They know what to take.
Yes. And I saw something a few days ago that I was contemplating buying it, but when I turned it over and it said $19, I said, man, I can buy this in the Walmart's for $19. I'm not paying you guys $19 for it. Yeah. So yeah, they're catching on now.
Ours was like, we would buy it by the pound. It started at like 10 cents a pound, and now it's up to like, I think it's $1 a pound now. It's still not bad, but the stuff that you can find there, it's pretty amazing. But like Rick and I would always hit the flea market. We hit it early in the morning. So we would get there before they'd even set up, so we could find some good stuff. But lately, even our local one is finally going to be shutting down. So it got harder and harder to find some, but we did meet some nice people that he ran a local toy store, and he'd always leave us stuff behind that we liked. So they were good guys. But then, Rick and I were both like, where are we going to put it all after a while? And we were like, I got to sell a lot. And then everything keeps loading up on the shelves. And then you're like, wow, I got a lot of stuff.
Well, go ahead and show us something there, Todd.
All right, here you go. This is a Super Joe line. And this guy, here you go. This guy's made out of, so it's a Super Joe line, but his body is he's a giant insect. So if you can see his head, he's got the mandibles, mandibles open and closed. But his body, if you can see it, it's kind of looks like it's got veins. That's all hot glue. So I hot glue gunned it, and I take Mod Podge and I mix it into the paint. So it makes it like rubbery. and it gives it like a rubber skin on his face, and it gives it a rubber skin on it, like his legs feel like they're latex.
Amazing.
So I've been messing around with a lot of that. That's been going pretty cool. Here's one I did out of clay, and this is a 3D printed. I had a guy 3D print me this piece at work, and then I'm sculpting. I sculpt his face out of clay, and he has custom shin guards. And this guy is a clear body Luminos figure, like the old Luminos. Here's Mike Powers. They made him into like the Borg.
So my goodness. I like that. I like that.
Yep. I customized his outfit, dry brushed it. That actually came off a Star Trek figure. Here's one. This guy, call him Boris. It's like a boar. He's a wild boar. And he gets his bow and arrow is made out of the deer antlers, like the hoods.
Oh my goodness.
And then he's got the arrow backpack. Okay. So these guys, I call them the Dark Void Troopers. They're Darkon's like militia.
Uh-huh.
All right. This guy's cool. This guy is a squid head. Okay. So he's got tentacles and he's got
Unbelievable.
So in his head, it's made out of, I do 2-part epoxy clay, and it can turn. It's pretty cool. All right. And this guy is cool. This is my rusted one. This guy is like a droid, but he's on a droid figure. This is actually, Rick and I found this piece way back in. You kind of see how it's
how in the world do you come up with this? You got to have your imagination must be way out there.
It's out there. Yeah. And this heat is neat. It dries rusty.
Yeah.
But then you got to kind of dry brush it, and then you got to kind of dab it and rub it in, and it's starting to look kind of weathered, but it's cool because I had all these extra parts, so I put them all together. All right. Then I got into this guy. This guy's cool. This guy's a Martian, but he lights up. Let's see if he can light his head up for you. See, so
man.
He's got the light up head. But then if you take off his helmet, this is what his head looks like. That's with all the washes. Okay. So Super Joe, you know how they use light up effects? So inside there, I got a little light that you put into balloons, and you put them in there and it can cover up his head so it can light it up.
Amazing.
So those were cool. And then so everyone was asking me to do Luminos. So they've been asking for the cover that can go onto Luminos's head. So I've been using my Cricut, and I created this guy. This is Luminos's helmet, and you can take it off. And then I got a clear head I put on him, and he lights up as well. So he lights up, and then you can put the Luminos helmet on him, and that's what Luminos would look like. And I thought, why was Luminos walking around without clothes? I just didn't see it. So I made him into like a pharaoh. So he like more of a pharaoh figure.
Yeah.
That's Luminos. And the last one, I have one more.
Your mic just went out.
All right, here's the shield. So I painted him blue, made that custom-made helmet. These guys, again, White Elephant Toys. And I can pull the pin. I can make the shield light up, too. This is all cut out of vinyl. Take vinyl. I don't know if you can see it, but the back of it, you see how it's speckled?
Yeah.
So I put my finger over I use like a primer, and you put your fingertip over it, and it speckles the paint. It comes out like speckled. So it looks like it's metal, and then I paint it. And then I have, I can cut all this stuff out with the Cricut, which is great. But I've seen online a lot of guys are dyeing the body parts. The problem is when you dye them, the joints get really loose because they get melted in the boiling water. This one I stripped down, I sanded it, and then I painted it. And then I've had a couple people ask me for the vest and everything. So those are just a few of the things I've done. All right.
Well, I noticed your website is down, so.
I took my website down. The funny thing about the website, I thought that I could sell a lot of stuff on the website. So I kept it up and running, and I was offering free shipping, all this stuff on my website. And yet no one would buy stuff off my website. They'd still buy it off eBay and pay twice as much. I would send business cards and stuff and said, hey, look, if you want something, go direct for me for my website. So it was getting to the point where I wasn't selling enough off the website. So I just kept selling it on eBay. So
That's right.
Like, okay, I don't know. I sold a few things, but like, it was amazing. I would sell something like one of the figures you had, Terry. I'd sell it on the website for $20, free shipping. And someone would have to pay $40 on eBay. So I'm like, okay. So I was like, and I don't know if it's just I didn't have enough. I had a lot of people in it, but yeah, it just wasn't really moving the stuff, So I decided, I'll just keep it on the eBay and stuff.
I think people are just lazy and eBay is easy.
Yeah. I don't know why. It's like, and I had people like, if you ever want something or you need something from me, you can always email me. My Facebook page is Underground Legion. Just message me. A lot of people ask me for stuff. Hey, I have a woman in Chicago that she buys a lot of my figures, and she wanted a King of the Hill doll. So I've made that, and then she wanted a custom grill. I made that. She wanted a propane tank. I made him a little beer. So I'll do any type of figure. So I took for the grill, my wife came up with the idea. You take a styrofoam ball, I cut it in half, and I hollowed it out with my Dremel and I put a fake fire in there with grill, like a mesh for the grill, and I made a cover out of it, and it came out really nice. But she really challenges me. She makes me make some really interesting stuff, and she's fun to work with. And she's always like sends me pictures, and she goes, "Can you make this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll try it." And so that's been really fun. The amount of people that I've met. One of the big goals was to make it down to meet you, Terry, at Joe Lanta. Rick and I have always kind of wanted to do that, but every time we look at the drive, we're like, oh, we're always like, that's going to be a long drive.
I know. I wouldn't go to Joe Lanta or Toy Lanta if it was, like in Chicago. I never would have had that opportunity. So I guess I'm just blessed.
Yeah.
I'm blessed that I can, do it here.
Right.
Ronald McDonald says, I think it's awesome you make your own figures. And then he has a question here. So where do you get your talent from?
My mom and dad.
Your mom and dad, that's right.
I've always been into art. I've always liked art. I've always liked creating. And so when I started, I do a lot. I like painting. I like painting a lot. But when I got into the figures, you guys know how much some of that stuff costs. It's like, we see the guys like I see Jim online. I mean, you guys, some of the guys with the 3D printers are amazing, the work that they do. And it's like, you have a hard time justifying buying a jet engine or a piece that go with one of your figures, and the part's going to cost you $100 for this little teeny part. So you try to make it. You try to make your own part, and that's what you do. And that's how I think we all are. We all just start making stuff.
Yeah.
And I think you have to use every means possible. You just start messing around with it.
Well, Jim made me this.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I've seen those.
It's awesome. But I've actually seen another guy who's a lot like you, and he makes these things out of tops of like he'll take a top like this, and he'll create the helmet out of that. And I'm going, man, I never would have thought about it.
That is the top of a razor can.
Yeah.
Shaving cream.
Right. See?
That's my wife's shaving cream top.
Yeah.
Okay. So anytime you find something round and clear, of course, when you start living in the light, like the 12-inch line or everything you go to, everywhere you look, you're always thinking, ooh, that part could be good. That I could use that for something. And anytime someone's going to throw something away, you look at it and go, wait a minute, that thing is neat. You could use it. So I always find stuff that I think that someone's going to throw out that I keep. And my wife always goes before she throws it out, you want this? Yeah, I'll take it. And who knows when it comes in handy.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
I've seen you make boats. I've seen you make vehicles. I've seen you make half animals and half people. And I've seen you make half people and half animals, and I just sit there and I'm just amazed. I'm just amazed.
I like the I've always been into the classic movie monsters and and all those stuff. The Island of Dr. Moreau, Planet of the Apes, all that stuff. So that's why that stuff is really when it comes to like making the figures and that stuff, that's what I really like doing. But people ask me all the time, like, well, how can you get rid of it? How can you sell it? And it's not about the selling. It's about making the next thing. It's about making the next project. And it's cool that I think it's really neat that someone actually likes something I built, that now it's part of their collection. So a little piece of my art goes into their collection. I think that's awesome. And I really don't care how much I make off it. Because everyone always tells me, man, your prices are too light. You should get a lot more for them. But it's not about that. It's just, for me, it's like going down to my room, takes me to a place that I just can go down and think about other things. I turn on my radio, I start building, and it takes me back to when I was like 9 years old as a kid. And I just sit there making that stuff, and it's like the time flies by, and then it makes me feel good. And I think it's cool that something, part of that will live on. And I think that's pretty neat. And that's why I do it.
Well, the one figure you gave me to sell it at Joe Lanta, I just walked through the through the whole show, holding it in my arms. I didn't say anything. I just kept walking through the show, and people would stare at me, and they'd stare. And finally, one guy come up. I guess he finally had courage, and he comes up to me and said, "What table did you get that at?" And I said, "This is a custom figure, and it was made by a friend of mine." And he said, "Well, I want it." And I said, "Here's what he wants for it." He couldn't get the money out fast enough, Todd.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was a highlight when you told me it sold.
If
Jim had a question for him. Jim says, how long have I been making figures? I got to say, I've been probably doing them for, I'd probably doing it for 15 years now. And it was funny. I met a guy in Chicago, and it was one of the very first things I sold. And we became pretty good friends. And he said to me, I'll never forget it. He goes, man, if you just keep building this stuff, you're going to be like a really top kit basher. I'm like, what the heck does that mean? He's like, you got to keep going. He goes, just keep doing the stuff. And it did. It did kind of take off. During COVID, I sold more stuff during COVID because I had time to make stuff because I was working from home. So I had a lot more time to make it. I was selling stuff like crazy. I couldn't even keep up with it. I was selling so much of it.
Right.
And then now I've kind of settled down because I've gotten another hobby. Pickleball came into my life, and now that's taken over. So I've kind of slowed down on the making. But if someone wants something or needs something, I'm there. I'm there to do it. One of my coworkers wanted to make her a Yeti. So I took one of those Mego action figures, those 14-inch ones, and I made her a Yeti, and it sits on her desk at work. And she, I had to make her a custom box for it, and she just thinks it's fantastic. Now everybody else at work comes in and they think I'm a little strange, but that's okay. I think we're all kind of a little strange.
I like being this strange. This is my favorite strange right here. I just love it.
Have you made a pickleball G.I. Joe yet?
No, should I?
Of course.
I could make it with high shorts,
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be interesting.
It'd be one of a kind, the first of its kind.
Well, one thing I'm going to do when I have some time, today is a busy day, but when I have some time, I'm going to get back in touch with you because me and Greg are working on something.
Okay.
And maybe you can come up with an idea to help us.
Sure.
I'll talk to you about that later.
I do. I love collaborating with people. That's the blast when you get to when you're working with someone on ideas or something you want to do. That's the fun. I mean, think about it. I can't believe the amount of people we know that when you first start out, you're thinking, God, no one's going to be collecting this stuff. And then think about how many people we've met over the years that are into the same things we're into. We're all doing the same things, and it's neat.
Yeah.
Hey, Edmund. How you doing? Edmund saying hi to me.
Yeah. Hey, Edmund. Let's put him up there.
He's been your Edmund's photographs have kind of took off a little bit. He's going in a little bit different direction. I like seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
So he's doing he's recreating scenes from the movie Predator, and he's actually doing very good at it. Very cool.
I think I've seen those. One thing that I was wondering if it would be possible if I created an album on my page, my Facebook page, would you be able to post a picture of every one of your creations? Oh, not immediately, but I mean, like maybe post one a day or one a week, and eventually we would call it the Todd Zingales Museum.
You know, Terry, I was Todd's official photographer. You know that.
That is true. He's still my official photographer.
Well, then we'll
That's
see.
one thing I can't get into. I've tried. I've tried it. I like the building. I can't. The figures always fall down. They're aggravating.
I tried to teach him.
Yeah. He's telling me to download like some download, put filters in. I have no idea what that meant. I thought he was talking about my language. He's like, use your filter. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. So I'm like,
yeah, but you see,
I leave that to the photographers. That
right.
I'm out on that.
Right. Well, a smart person learns, I was telling my wife this afternoon, a smart person learns how to use the talents of other people. If you've ever been to Disney World or Disneyland, any of those places, there's one of those rides that you ride through, and it kind of goes through the history of electricity and the development of modern conveniences and things like that through different time periods. Well, Walt Disney didn't have the money to build that.
Right.
And so he got in connection with the New York World's Fair and the electric company, and the electric company paid to build the exhibit for the World's Fair. And then when the World's Fair was over, he moved it to Disney World. And so, hey, he got somebody else to do his idea.
Right.
In
Like
fact,
the box art and stuff, I dabble in a lot of that, but there's some things I do, but I leave that for other people, because that's like
right.
not really what I want to do.
Right.
And a lot of times when I'm building something, I go downstairs, people will go, where do you get the idea from? I don't know. I just sit there starting building, and then I start taking pieces together and start gluing them together. And then I'm like, oh, wow, this is coming out.
Oh, he froze.
Uh-oh.
Into something, and you don't think it's going to come out, and then you keep building it. And I had one guy had me build a huge boat. I mean, this is when I first started, and he traded me a figure, and this was way before I knew anything. I knew a little about G.I. Joe, but not enough. And he gave me an African-American adventure team guy. I'm thinking,
okay,
oh, God, this is awesome. This is like one of my childhood favorites.
Right.
And I build him this huge boat, and then he makes me build him this huge trailer. And every once in a while, he'll put it on eBay and tries to sell it. That shipping cost me so much money. But I'm thinking to myself, yes, but I got this really cool figure. Years go by, and I'm thinking to myself, I've never checked the date. Yeah, and guess what? It was a remake from Walmart. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And it was like,
hey, those are collectible now.
Yeah, now they are. But back in the day, I was like, I thought it was original. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I run into those people. We have a little thrift shop here, and he calls me up and he'll say, Terry, I got 5 Joes in. Come on down here. And I'll go down there, and he's already got $300 on each one of them. And I said, come on, man.
Yeah.
These are remakes. They're maybe worth $25, $30. Right. No $300. And of course, they don't understand, and they think Hasbro, G.I. Joe, dollars.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think the highest price I ever paid was from one of those Kmart guys. I was in a thrift shop, and this guy had one in there, and he wouldn't come off the price. And my wife said, "No, don't buy it." And I said, "I can't leave Joe. I just can't leave him." So I had to take him home, and I will probably never sell him because he cost me too much. But
those were
I
good
didn't-
tickets.
I didn't
We
leave
did
him
that
behind.
when we go to the flea market. A person would be like, "How much do you want for it?" They're like $50, and we're like, "Pfft." And then we'd have to try to educate them. We're like, that figure was made in the 90s, and
Right.
they're like, "No, it's not. It's original."
No, it's ridiculous.
then they're like, "Pull the pants down," and that's when they really get freaked out.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you go to Joe Lanta, and there's a box
Oh, yeah.
of figures, and they're $1 a piece.
Those are the ones I want.
Yeah.
I would tell the people, look, I can't pay more than $5 because I'm not going to make that much. I just need the figure,
Right.
It's pretty funny what they overvalue. And then when you see some of the prices that they charge, and it was funny, you guys were talking about the Canadian Mountie at the beginning of the show. I have the same uniform because Rick asked me to get it. And actually his boots are brown. They have the brown highlights. Remember? I think they have the brown highlights, and that uniform for Dragon, that blows away the Hasbro one. It is so nice. And the one I have is an original Canadian G.I. Joe. And I got that the guy we bought it for, we went to a show and got it. And the difference between those guys, they have a little bit beefier arm. Their forearms are beefier, but it does say made in Canada. So that's my guy having that. And that's a really nice figure. And then there's one other one I have that I got, and I had a friend of mine fix the voice box, and I got it in a set, and I pulled the string, and it was real mumbled, and I thought it might be an astronaut, and actually it was a talking sailor. And those are getting hard to find because when you're a kid, if you remember, you put the sailor in the water and it ruined the voice box. And the sailor one I have, that's probably one of my highest paid Joes. And the other ones that I have that are really interesting is they're made by Takara, and they were made for G.I. Joe in Japan, but they have different outfits you can put on, like monster outfits and everything. And I got them in a set. A guy had texted me, and he told him those were ones he played with his kid because his dad was stationed in Japan. And I got some really, really interesting figures. And actually one figure, a vinyl figure, Rick gave me one of his that he got, and it completed a set for mine. So those are some of my all-time favorites. And I guess my all-time favorite, if we're talking about all-time favorites, when Rick showed his Sailor, that's my all-time favorite. That 12-inch Sailor G.I. Joe is one of the first guys I got as a kid. That's the one I picked off the shelf. So he'll always be my favorite, that redhead Sailor G.I. Joe.
Yeah. Well, I have the 13th Lancer. That's
that's
a
nice one. Yeah.
It took me a long time. The thing that I had a hard time getting was every time I would go to buy the Lance, it was broken.
Oh yeah, right.
And I finally found one that was not broken. So I picked that up and it completed my set. And I really love that Lancer.
Yeah.
My son has the Blue Royals.
Oh yeah, that's a nice one.
The one with the chromed chest plate and helmet and everything. It's amazing. And then he also has Prince William in that same uniform. But I think that originally cost like $350. And he made a trade with somebody to get it. So he didn't pay the whole amount. It's always nice if you can trade something, because you're giving somebody something that they want that you're really not interested in, or it's not your favorite, but it's giving them what they want, and then you're getting what you want. Right. I like to trade. Yeah, I enjoy trading.
Yeah, the trading's cool. I mean, one piece Rick and I got at this was a funny one. So Rick and I find this huge vehicle, and Angela had actually gotten it. And Rick finds it. Where do we find it? At Goodwill? I think you found it at the flea market. It's huge. And he goes, "What are we going to do with it?" He goes, "You're going to take it home. We're going to customize it." I go, "All right, we'll rust it." The next week, I find the same vehicle in the bin, and he goes, "Seriously, what are you going to do with it?" We're going to customize it. That vehicle is now sitting in the bedroom downstairs because both of us don't know what to do with it. It's so big.
Guess where mine ended up? Mine ended up in the trash.
Oh yeah.
Which vehicle is it?
They were so big. They were huge.
I'll show you.
Okay.
All right, let's let Rick show us what he's
It's
talking
so
about
big,
here.
Terry. You're like it's so massive.
So
He's knocking over everything in
Oh,
the.
it's bad.
that was King Kong. So
Okay.
I think I ended up with 3 of these things,
Oh,
and because we kept finding them at the flea market for $10, $5, and I sold one at the flea market. Kid was happy because it worked. These things make all kinds of noises and
yep.
bells and whistles. I think it's what's the make on these?
Interjects or something like that, or
Imaginex.
Imaginex. Yes.
It's
I gotta
Imaginex.
move back.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't even know if I can fit this thing in there.
It's Imaginex.
I started taking this one apart.
Unbelievable.
It's huge.
Yeah, mine is decked out, and Rick actually took a lot of photos with it. We used one of the bugs from Spaceship Troopers and attacked it. And Rick came over to the house and we did a bunch of different photos with it. And mine can hold up to 4 guys. One guy rides shotgun and he has like a net gun. And one guy, I took the chair from the headquarters and mounted it. And then another guy rides backwards, I think. But oh man, now it sits downstairs. If anyone's interested, we are available for local pickup. And we'll throw in food too. You come over, you get the truck and a sandwich.
Yeah, a barbecue.
So that was.
Have you ever made a figure for Starship?
I have. I actually have made one of those. Yeah, that one I sold. Yeah. I try not to copy them exactly. You know, like I don't want to copy them exactly like it, but I'll do it like close to it. And I'll try to do something like that, because if I do it too close to the thing, it's hard to find like the exact uniform and that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there was a guy out there that made 12-inch uniforms for it. But he only made like maybe 10 at a piece. And by the time I got to that website, they were all gone. Yeah. And now you can't even get him to respond. But anyway,
I think Hot Toys made one.
Yeah.
Rick, like you need to go ahead and ask the questions now, Rick.
The questions?
Yeah. Didn't you say you were going to ask some questions like you did at the end last week?
Oh, they'll probably be about the same questions, but they'll be.
Yeah, go ahead. Ask the same questions of Todd.
See if I can remember them.
Okay.
What's your favorite movie, Todd?
My favorite movie of all time, Shawshank Redemption.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's your favorite memory other than a Joe memory?
Favorite memory? Ooh, wow. Do I have to? What you want? Like a childhood memory? Getting married? How's that sound?
Favorite memory.
Hey Todd, don't tell us about the time you went to Las Vegas. Now Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas,
and it can't be a toy memory.
Wow. Oh, it can be. It's not a Joe memory. It can be a toy memory.
Okay. Wow. All right. Well, here's this one's pretty cool. It's the 3/4-inch Joes. So my brother is 10 years younger than me. So imagine your whole life for up to 10 years, you're the youngest in your family, then your younger brother comes along. So when my brother came along, you know, I was so much older, and that we started collecting the 3/4-inch G.I. Joe. So what I would do when he'd be off at school and I wasn't working, I'd usually go to the toy store and I'd pick him up a figure, and then he'd come home and I'd always pose them in the, like on the oven and stuff, and you get like really excited and stuff. So one day I decided to go up in our, we actually have all the stuff in my mom's attic still, and that's something I got to move out. But I must have set up, I'm not kidding, it had to be well over a couple hundred figures we had, and I set up all the stuff we had, and I posed everything in the back like room of our house. And the thing was covered in Joe's, and my brother came home and he just flipped out. I thought that was a pretty cool memory, seeing him flip out over that. It took me like almost all day between the fort and the planes and everything to pose it all. But he thought it was amazing. So we had good times even with that.
And you didn't take a picture of
No,
it.
I didn't even think about it. It was I didn't think about taking a picture back then. You know? So I mean that was pretty fun. I take him to the we'd go outside in the yard, and it was fun because I think back now, it's like, I was older now. I was older, but I've still got a chance to play G.I. Joe because it was my brother. My mother would go play with your brother. Oh, okay. But I got to still play with him. So we had a lot of fun with that.
What's your favorite food? Tomato juice, right?
Oh God, Rick, no. I hate tomatoes. Okay, favorite food.
Todd's
so I'm gonna go easy.
Preface this. Todd's a chef.
I'm a chef. So I graduated the Culinary Institute of America. I'm a trained chef, and I'm a trained pastry chef. I'm into pastry, and that's what I do for a living. I teach culinary arts. My favorite, I do like quiche, Ronald. I love quiche, but real men don't eat quiche or pump gas. I do love, my favorite thing, if I was stuck with one meal, is a classic cheeseburger is definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could have one vehicle from TV or from the movies, which would you pick?
Oh boy. I do like the car from Bullitt. Yeah, that's pretty classic. So I'd probably go with that. Yeah, that's you and I both like that one. I love that car. And the other one would be, I don't know, I really like that car. That car was good. Or the James Bond car that went underwater from the spy.
Oh yeah.
That one too. Yeah, those are two.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rick and I always liked Bullitt. That thing was a nice car.
67 Mustang, I think.
Yeah, that was a good movie too.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think that's all the questions I got.
Did you guys ever have a Mustang? Either one of you?
No, I never had one.
No.
No. That's maybe why we like the car. Yeah. What about Rick? I thought you were going to ask me my favorite color.
Oh yeah. Well,
I don't want to tell you now.
Right? If I remember, it's pink.
No, that's salmon. Remember, it's salmon.
That's my favorite food.
Salmon. Okay.
So what is your favorite color then?
I go with teal.
Oh,
that's a bluish green. All right.
I know what it is.
Why is Ronald's going yellow? Yellow here with Ronald.
That's his favorite.
I don't know.
And he likes Lotus. What is
cheeseburgers?
Ronald is from England.
It's my second favorite.
It's probably about 12 o'clock over there right now. So Ronald's laying in bed.
He loves a good cheeseburger.
Yeah, and he loves a good cheeseburger.
Why can't he have fish and chips? That doesn't make any sense. Bangers and mash. My God, haggis.
That's Scottish.
God, Ronald, what is he eating over there? Okay, Lotus was the the Lotus. Yeah, the Lotus car. Okay, I thought we were talking about a flower at one point here. I lost them.
I didn't ask favorite flowers.
Well, here's a quick story for you. When I was 16, my dad he knew a lot of people in town, and he wheeled and dealed with everybody, and he somehow made a deal. And I came home from school that day, and there in the yard was a 1964 Mustang, and he threw me the keys.
Oh wow!
Awesome. So I had a Mustang, and the only thing that I regret about it is that I didn't know how famous that car was going to
be. Yeah.
But it was fun to drive, and it was. I remember racing from Savannah to Tybee Island, and I raced a Thunderbird, and that's one of my best memories of being in that car. He thought he had me. He just thought he had me, but he didn't understand what that Mustang could do. So I got to Tybee Island. I got out of the car and I sat on the hood. He came driving up about a minute or two later, and I just waved.
I had an old Maverick that had a 302 in it. So that was the Mustang engine, I think. So
I had a
that's
Volkswagen Rabbit. That's what I drove.
Was it teal?
No, it was baby blue.
I had a baby blue Volkswagen too.
Yeah.
I loved my Volkswagen.
My dad had the Volkswagen Bug in baby blue. Then he got the Rabbit, and then that's what I drove when I was a kid.
Yeah,
that got me to and from school. That car was nice. It was a 2-door, and you had to shift it. It was great. That's what I passed my driver's test on.
Oh wow!
Amazing, amazing,
cool.
Well, this has been fun, guys. We got to go here in a second. Just want to thank y'all for joining us, and Todd, keep up the good work.
Yeah, thanks so much, Terry. Text me if you want to get together and do something. Absolutely.
I will. And the creative juices are amazing in this group right here. And I just love being able to be connected to so many good guys. I hope you have a good week. And I thank everybody for joining us. Make sure you ring the bell, like, share, subscribe. I think we have about 400 and some subscribers. Keep sharing it so we can get more subscribers. I'd love to hit 1,000. I don't know if that'll happen, but hey, let's do it. And if you have any figures to sell, Todd, let me know and I'll promote them. I want to get your stuff out there.
If someone needs something, they can reach out to, with it.
Yeah, and he'll make it. I'm gonna say that if you want something unique, reach out to Todd. He'll make it for you. Well, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Thank y'all. Y'all remember now that toys are fun. Bye, boys.